Hi, everyone. You're listening to Radio Cherry Bombe, and I'm your host, Carrie Diamond, coming to you from Newsstand Studios at Rockefeller Center in the heart of New York City. So many people are here at Rockefeller Center today because of the famous tree. I'm actually going to run over and see it right after our recording. Today's guest is Roti Brown, the Los Angeles-based creative force whose fresh take on entertaining, food, and personal style has made her a standout voice online. What began as a love of cooking passed down from the women in her family and a brief detour into political science has grown into a multifaceted career that blends content creation, creative direction, and a uniquely warm, welcoming approach to hosting. Roti is a new friend, and I'm so glad you'll all get to meet her. If you're curious how someone becomes a professional content creator, this will answer a lot of your questions. We also talk about entertaining, of course, because it's the holidays and because Roti is a pro at making everybody feel so at home. From her oversized fabric tablecloth hacks and self-serve drink stations to her philosophy that if you're calm, you're not really hosting, I can relate to that, Roti has made entertaining, joyful, communal, and completely approachable. Stay tuned for my chat with Roti Brown. Today's show is presented by J.W. Marriott. Nature is healing. Those words may come up often as an internet meme in all of our social feeds, but there is truth to be found there. Research has shown that spending time in a natural setting can have a positive effect on our mental and emotional well-being. At J.W. Marriott, nature is part of the brand's DNA. Founder J. Willard Marriott treasured his daily nature walks, and his wife Alice was an avid gardener. Now, every J.W. Marriott property around the world has its own J.W. garden, providing a sustainable source of fresh herbs and vegetables that are used throughout the guest experience, from your welcome elixir to your in-room dining order to your late-night cocktail or mocktail. Best of all, the JW Garden offers guests a chance to sit, connect to nature, and just be, so you can reap some of those mental health benefits yourself. Think of it as a chance to check in and tune out. Learn more and book your trip at jwmarriott.com. A little housekeeping. Cherry Bombe has teamed up with the Visa Dining Collection by Open Table and Visa to present a new event series, Working Lunch, Tastemakers at the Table. Each stop in the series has included a delicious chef-driven lunch, meaningful networking, and a panel conversation with some of the city's top culinary talent. Our final stop is Charleston on Thursday, December 11th, this Thursday, at Brasserie Le Banc. We'll get to hear from Brasserie's Vonda Freeman, Jillian Schaffer from Fig, and Corey Wong of Jackrabbit Philly and King Barbecue. Access to all working lunch experiences is available for eligible Visa credit card holders, and tickets are on sale now. Terms and conditions apply. Visit cherrybombe.com for all the details. You can also find the link in our show notes. I hope to see you in Charleston. What else? The holiday issue of Cherry Bombe magazine is finally here. It's all about cake and features 3 incredible self-taught cake artists on the covers. Lucy Fron de Ferriere, from Lucy, Amy France, a.k.a. Young Kombucha 420, and Amy Yip of Yip Studio. All 3 discovered their passion for cake during the pandemic and transformed their hobbies into thriving careers. What else is in this issue? So many delicious cake recipes, profiles of other incredible cake artists, stories of nonprofits using cake for a good cause, an inspiring bake sale, and so much more. To snag the mag, head to cherrybombe.com or check out the link in our show notes or find a copy at your local bookstore. We love our stockists, and you can find us in some great places across the country. Places like Kitchen Arts and Letters here in Manhattan, Books Are Magic in Brooklyn, and Omnivore Books on Food in San Francisco. For a full list of retailers, visit cherrybombe.com. Now, let's check in with today's guest. Roti Brown, welcome to Radio Cherry Bombe.
Hi. So excited to be here. I cannot wait to chat.
Tell everybody where you are and why you are where you are.
Yes, I'm here in LA. I'm actually an LA native, born and raised. I'm on the opposite coast. I feel like so much of the people that I work with are actually in New York, and I'm in New York quite often as well. But LA's home, and I think it always will be for me.
You did live in New York for a little while, though,
I
right?
briefly lived in New York. I can barely claim it. I was there for about 5 months. I was remote at the time, and then I got like a dream job offer and moved back to LA pretty immediately. But I loved my time there. And even now, I do feel like I have the best of both worlds because I'm out there a lot for work. I feel like I've gotten to know the neighborhoods and I have like all my favorite food spots. It has my heart in a certain way, but I'm here full time.
What was it like growing up in Los Angeles? For those of us who experienced LA as young people through television and movies, it seems very specific.
Yeah, I think it's different when you're from here. I think a little bit of that allure is kind of lost. Also for me, I grew up in the suburbs. So I grew up in Pasadena, which is like technically LA County, but it's definitely not downtown LA. Like you're a bit off the beaten path. I think in the same way people that aren't from LA, have these ideas that they're not maybe fully immersed in about like the city. I really did have those too. Being in my suburb, being in a very quiet neighborhood and a place that really did feel kind of small town at some times. So yeah, when I got old enough to move to the city, I was so excited about it. And I think I discovered it, even being from here, in a new way, kind of being more immersed in it.
What did you think you wanted to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a lawyer. Yeah. I studied political science in school. And then, I think to go back a little further, I just grew up in a family that really the only job options that were presented to me were like very corporate roles. My family's very corporate. Both my parents work very corporate jobs. So it really was presented to me as like, if you want to be happy and you want to be stable, you can be a doctor or a lawyer, and that's kind of it. So I knew I couldn't do blood, wouldn't be good with those things. So I was like, okay, law's kind of the only option. I loved what I studied, and I had a lot of fun living in that world for the time that I did. But I knew as soon as I graduated that it wasn't what I wanted to do full time. I just didn't know what it was going to be, but I knew like this isn't going to be for me.
Did you do anything with your political science studies?
I have never, ever worked a day in my field. I've never technically used my degree.
So interesting. I mean, talk about, politics right now. Are you kind of a nerd? Are you super interested in politics, follow everything?
Yes, 100% a political news junkie. And I think, especially with the times we're in now, I appreciate that separation. I can't imagine it being my work. You know what I mean? It's so crazy, and I feel like I would just be way too immersed and way too affected by everything happening if I couldn't at least step away from it. I love to keep up. I love to stay informed, but I think it worked out the way it was supposed to, for sure.
You are the perfect person to ask this question of. I'm always interested in the fact that most content creators do not wade into politics.
Yeah.
Is that a personal choice? Is that something their management is telling them? Shed some light on that for us.
I think it's case by case. I have not heard of management having people shy away from it. I think with the most recent election, there was a lot more political influence that was seen as like normal and acceptable. I think not everyone wants to be quote unquote polarizing. And I think people tend to be like, if I'm here for food, we're going to stick to food and that's what we're going to talk about. And I'm not going to involve other things. But I'm so firmly against that. I think it's so important to share what you believe and to just come on and be open, and especially to stand up for the things that you believe in. This year, especially with food, we've seen how much politics makes its way into things, right? Like with everything that happened with SNAP benefits and so many little situations where there really is overlap, I think, in every niche. So I'm definitely seeing it more, and I hope to. I hope more influencers are more open about what they believe and come out and say it when they need to say it.
I agree. It does bum me out because it's almost like you're letting other people do the hard work for you and benefiting from that. You're benefiting from staying silent, and that's never a good thing.
Yeah. And I think for me, I like following people that are vocal and politically engaged. I see it as a plus. I would rather know exactly where you stand.
We'll be right back with today's guest. If you are looking for some excellent holiday gifts, Cherry Bombe has great options for you. From now until the end of the year, you can get 20% off Jubilee tickets when you buy 2 or more. Jubilee is our annual conference happening on Saturday, April 25th, 2026 in New York City. And it's always a beautiful day filled with talks and panels, networking, and great food and drink. There's also the Cherry Bombe Cookbook, a yearly subscription to the magazine, and a subscription to our Substack. These are all great gifts for foodie friends, colleagues, loved ones, or for yourself. Head to cherrybombe.com or the link in our show notes to shop and learn more. Your political science, planning to go to law school. What happens next?
Yes. So I graduated into the pandemic, which at the time felt, it was so crazy. I think there was so much fear. We knew so little about COVID at the time. But I think the benefit for me, which ended up being a blessing, is that it really allowed me to just pretend that time didn't exist. I think I had a lot of pressure from my family, expectations. It's such a common question when you graduate. What are you going to do next? Where are you going to go? And I think because it was the pandemic and the world kind of stood still, it just allowed me to just stop and be like, okay, what do I actually want to do? I moved back home. I went to college out of state, and I took 3 jobs simultaneously, which was kind of crazy. But I worked at a restaurant as a hostess, and then the restaurant, it was a very cool kind of space, local place, and the owner of it owned a liquor store next door, but it was a very curated liquor store. He handpicked everything. They would do wine tastings every Thursday night, and then he was a chef, so there would always be a food pairing. So I was doing that most nights, and it was a great way to be in the food world. And then I took 2 internships, one under a creative director, an amazing woman named Cole Moser, and I was just helping her on set, honestly, mostly steaming clothes, but really just getting to watch her work, which was fantastic.
That is a skill, Roti.
Yes, it is. It definitely is.
A lot of people want to work on photo shoots and they don't know the basics. And I'm like, you got to know how to steam a dress.
You got to know how to steam and how to keep talent at bay while other things are happening. And then I was interning for a media company called Every Stylish Girl, which is New York based, under an amazing woman named Nana Adjamine, and I was just her executive assistant. I didn't know this at the time, but it was like the culmination of everything that I do now, because it was like a little bit of content creation. It was getting to work really closely with an amazing female creative director who I learned so much from, and then it was working in food.
Were those interests of yours, even though you were studying poli-sci, were you creative? Were you someone who cooked a lot?
I was someone who cooked a lot. I've been cooking since I was 5. I come from a family of amazing women home chefs. And so I just never viewed cooking as a skill. I just viewed it as like, you need to feed yourself and you feed your family, and thank God you can make food taste good. So it was something I knew how to do, and I did very frequently, and I loved doing it, but I just didn't view it as a job. Certainly not anything I could make money from. That wasn't ever a goal of mine.
And what about the creative side? Were you someone who always loved photography, social media, magazines?
Yeah, at that point, I had definitely like a heavy interest in social media, mostly just on a personal note. I had a really big interest in fashion, but I actually did not know what a creative director was. It was such an interesting learning curve for me to be thrown into this industry that I didn't really know existed. And I'm getting ahead of myself, but that's what I ended up doing a few years later.
Tell folks what a creative director is.
Well, I think it's hard to define. I think it's a broader term, especially nowadays, right, when it can look so differently, whether you're doing it for yourself or for a really big company. But I'll speak to it for what it was for me when I was an intern for Cole. She was working for actually a mall. It's called Row, downtown LA. But it's a very fashion-forward mall. All of the stores are very high fashion. She was in charge of basically curating all the assets that the mall went out with. So we would do quarterly shoots that were seasonal. She was in charge of putting together the creative vision. So what is this photo shoot going to look like and feel like? Who are we casting in the photo shoot? Where are we shooting? What outfits make sense to shoot considering that it's seasonal? So it really was down to the details of everything visually creative that had to do with the brand. And I would say that is the definition that makes the most sense. It can change for sure depending on where you are, but that's the broadest, most accurate, I would say.
So you've got these internships. We're deep in the pandemic. What comes next for you?
I started freelancing on the side. And so in terms of content creation, like when people ask me when I got started, it's a bit of a complicated question because I've really been doing it since the beginning, just on a much smaller scale. Luckily, I never really let go of it. Even when I had a full-time job, I would do it a little bit. I was creating a little bit of content. And then I went full-time at Every Stylish Girl, which is the media company. So that was a little bit more fashion and content creation based. And then from there, got a recommendation to get a full-time job as a content manager.
And was this at Jenni Kayne?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And big job. Those of you out there, I'm sure most of you know the brand Jenni Kayne. But for those who've been following it for a long time, that brand really went from not quite 0 to 60, but they are a major brand today.
Yes. I kind of joined right after they had that first big moment of growth. It was when the home line was really picking up steam. They obviously do really incredible work with their home line. And then Oak Essentials, their skincare line, had just been started. But I worked under another amazing woman, Megan Cox. It's really something when you have a boss that wants to show you the ropes. And I think I've been lucky enough to have that everywhere I've gone, where I've had people above me that prioritized my learning. It's been so helpful for me in my career.
That's a good thing to point out. Did you feel that you need to make it clear that you were the kind of person who wanted to be on the receiving end, or were you just fortunate to work in those kinds of atmospheres?
I think a mix of both. I think that's advice I got from my parents, honestly, early on, is be a sponge as much as you can. You know, if you're going to try something new, you know, they're like, we're going to support you, but you better get in there and take everything that you can from it and really walk away from it feeling like it's something you could do on your own one day if you love it.
That's great advice. I've looked at every job I've had as like graduate school.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting a paycheck to go to graduate school, essentially, and learn everything you can. What did you learn at Jenni Kayne?
I think I learned so much about how much goes into a campaign. You know, I think I was just so naive, not only with fashion, with beauty, with anything. If you're looking at a singular photo, a website, a magazine, a catalog, a campaign, there are so many people working behind the scenes to bring that together, especially creatively, like really just pouring into the details. And then even from the time that the creative vision comes together, from it being shot, from it being edited, I just had no idea how much work was really being put into it. I think that was so eye-opening, but also it opened my eyes to how many jobs there are in the creative field, which is something I just really did not know about before.
After Jenni Kayne, where do you go?
Then I started working for myself. I was full-time freelance. And then during that time, I got my own creative director title working for Ashley Tisdale.
You made the leap to go freelance.
Yes.
Was that a difficult decision?
Yes and no. I think at that point, I had dabbled in it enough that it didn't feel like a cold turkey, you know, like diving into the deep end decision. It felt a little bit more like walking into it. So yeah, I think it's always a scary thing to do. You know, it's less stability for sure. You don't know what's coming in. But I think I was very clear on what I wanted at that point, and I knew that was going to be the best thing for me.
What did you do to prepare? Did you have money in the bank? Did you have a whole plan? What was going on?
Yeah, so I did not have a plan necessarily, but I did have goals, monthly goals. By January, I want to make sure I have this many clients, or by June, I want to make sure I make this amount of money, or this is like a dream client for me to work with. And that's really something I learned when I was interning. Both of my bosses at the time were really big on like, if you want something, you need to write it down and then work towards it. And so I think I really took that with me of like, at least I'm going to track my progress. And I remember telling myself, I'm going to give it a year. If it doesn't work, I can go back full time. I can find something else. But I just felt like it was my time to bet on myself, to take the leap. And so I was like, I'm just going to do it.
Are you still goal-oriented?
Yes. I need to like visualize things, and writing them down really helps me to do that.
Have you worked on your 2026 goals yet?
I have not, but that will be coming. I'm going to do a vision party with my friends. We're going to make boards, and I think it'll be nice to say the things out loud, you know, like the scary things out loud to each other and hold each other accountable that way.
Oh, that's great. Mm-hmm. I have not done my 2026 goals yet, but I hadn't thought about grabbing all my friends and doing it together. It's not the worst idea. What were some of the things you learned as a freelancer?
Oh my gosh. I think I was good at the things that I'm good at and bad at the things that I'm bad at. Do you know what I mean? I think I learned very quickly that if you have the budget to pay someone to do the thing that you're not good at, please do. Learning curve of like knowing how to do your taxes, right? Things like that were like a hard learning, but a good one. Little things that I hate. I hate editing. It's like a me thing. And I just learned that if you're just sitting all day doing the thing that makes you unhappy, it's not going to make your work life any easier. So learning how to outsource, that was a really big one for me.
You're a freelancer, you're chugging along, you get a big client.
Yes.
Tell us about this client.
So big client came to me by way of a friend, which, by the way, I really feel strongly is how I've gotten all of my favorite opportunities. It's like being recommended by people that are close to me. And I remember, you know, I hadn't been creative directing. I had never done it on my own, but I hadn't been doing it in name formally, right? But I think as I went to pull experience for Ashley in my interview, I realized that I really had been doing it for my own page. Like I had been putting together mini campaigns and organizing what I wanted things to look like and all these sort of soft skills that apply to creative direction. At first I was like, oh, it's been like a minute for me on this. And I was like, no, actually this is kind of what I'm doing now. And yeah, we had one phone interview. We just really hit it off. I love Ashley.
Ashley Tisdale / Ashley Tisdale French.
Yes, they're her new name change. But yes, she hired me, I think, within the week. And I just came onto the team and really hit the ground running.
What kinds of things did they have you do?
I was working for her directly, but Ashley has an amazing wellness line. It's called Being Frenchy. That is definitely what took a lot of the attention. There's an amazing product line. It's all based on like scents and how scent can be really healing. And there's tons of products. So she basically was looking to revamp the entire creative vision. So we just kind of started with what they had and then worked in like getting completely new assets, completely new creative direction for everything that was coming new. So it was pretty nonstop, but it's my favorite work experience ever.
Were you a High School Musical fan?
Of course. Yes. Who was it?
I didn't know if that was a job requirement or not. Next, you decide you're going to go on your own completely. And you are the creative director of you.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the best way to put it. You decide you're going to be the creative director of Roti Brown. What went into that thinking and deciding that you're done with clients, you're going to work with clients in a different capacity, and you are the talent?
Yes. When I first started working for Ashley, and I was still freelance with her, but I was doing 40-hour work weeks, so it definitely felt full-time. And I think I just quickly realized it wasn't part of the vision that I had for working for myself. I love working with Ashley. Even now, we'll text and she'll call me, and she's like one of my favorite people. But I think when you're dedicating your time to someone else's vision, that really comes through in your work. And I was simultaneously doing content creation and doing everything that I do on the side. I was writing recipes. I have a Substack called Flavor Garden. I was like keeping up with things over there. And it just became like really challenging to do both. And so I just had to kind of sit back and be like, you're kind of going to have to pick one or the other. And when you started this, at that point, it had been 2 years ago, you said it was your time to focus on you. And it's just not really possible to split yourself in that way. So yeah, and then I think there was also like this pressure of me loving Ashley so much, not wanting to let go of what I think is a really rare work relationship. I think loving your boss is not something that most people could say. And I almost felt like a little bit of guilt of, oh my God, this is a dream situation and you want to walk away from it? Like, that's crazy. So it took a long time. I was there for 2 years, but eventually I was just kind of like, you have to make true to what you said, which is betting on yourself and giving yourself 100%.
That's a tough one. As soon as you said that, I was thinking of bosses I've had over the years who I just adored. And when you have no idea how to resign, that's a sign that you really loved it there.
Yeah, totally.
Well, no, actually, I'll take that back. Sometimes you have a mean boss and you're afraid to resign to the mean boss. But yes, it's really tough when you love your boss and you love your colleagues. But it's clearly time to move on.
Yes, yes.
Any regrets? Was
No regrets.
Completely the right decision?
Yeah, I think as soon as I did it, even with her reaction, she's so supportive of me. But I think I just knew in my heart, now's the time for you. I'm so grateful for the experience. I learned so much. That's the other thing. I think everything I've done, whether it's gone poorly or really well or just different than I thought it would, I've never come out of a situation not learning something that I haven't been able to apply in the future. And I learned so much there. I think really just being the person with the reins, right? The person to make the final call, to make the decision, to say like, this will be good. This will look good. That will not look good. That decisiveness, I think, is so powerful, especially as a female in this industry. I think it's so important to be able to say what you need and what you want and to just like stick with it. Even though I had seen that in practice from so many amazing women leaders and bosses, that was my first time having to do it myself. I think that's one of the most valuable lessons. I think it's only been 6 months since I've left, but no regrets on my end.
Let's talk about Roti Brown entertaining queen.
Yes.
There's a lot I want to know. You don't just write about food. I noticed in Flavor Garden, you definitely specialize in recipes. But when folks look at your Instagram, it's entertaining, it's tablescapes, it's recipes, it's hosting, it's fashion, it's so many different things. Is that because there's no way you could just do one thing?
It's almost coincidental how it's all just aligned, and it's been very kismet. But when I started off posting content, I was actually a beauty creator. So I was posting about like skincare and makeup, fashion a little bit, which has just always been a passion of mine. But when people say like I turned my hobby into a job, that is so true for me. I've been cooking in the background, and for years, even as a content creator, just never thought to post about it. Randomly posted a recipe video on a whim, and it just blew up. So I think adding food into the mix, even though I think that's what people like know me for, that's the new thing. You know, the other things were already kind of there. It makes sense now because it really is all the parts of me kind of showing up on my feed. But yeah, it wasn't a part of the plan for them to all exist at once, for sure.
December must be like your Super Bowl. How do you start planning content-wise, and what are some of the things we'll see this December?
Yes. So we plan ahead. I do have help. I have an assistant who's fantastic with just like helping me organize my thoughts. We've been talking about holiday content since probably August. One of my main goals, especially this year, the holidays really are my favorite time of year. I have a huge family. I really wanted to make sure that I'm not only sharing, but also getting the time to enjoy in my real life. And planning was really just the only way to do that. I've been posting a lot about recipes, and I've been doing the tablescapes. I'm having friends over so much at this time of year, family over so much this time of year. It's representation of everything that's going on in my life just being put out into the world.
I loved seeing your mom in some of your videos.
Yes. Oh my gosh. She's my biggest inspiration. I feel like, especially for food and hosting, she would have, I think, 40 people over every Saturday at our house. Insane, consistent hosting, cooking, huge meals by herself. So it's really great.
Is your mom ready for influencer life?
She needs to be. I've been telling her, you need to join me more. I love filming with her. She's so fun and funny, and I think we vibe off each other really well. So yeah, I'm trying to pull her in a little bit more.
You are so skilled at creating a beautiful tablescape. And I noticed that you're not even really using tablecloths. Do you go buy fabric? Is that how you do it?
Yeah, I buy fabric. This is my number one asked question. In LA, for anyone who's not here, we have something called the Fashion District. It's just tons of raw wholesale fabrics. You can literally find anything in the world. Tablecloths can be really expensive, especially for the oversized ones. So I think probably about 2 years ago, I was like, I'm not going to buy tablecloths anymore. I'm just going to buy fabric and make it look the way I want to. So yeah, my house is full of fabrics that I've used once. It's the best hack for tablescapes, I swear.
And what do you do about the bottoms and the sides? Is it okay if they're not finished? What's the vibe you're going for?
Yeah, I just tuck it under. No one's going to see it, you know? I feel like the look that I love right now is the very dramatic, oversized. I love when it's dragging on the floor, you know? So I just give it a little bump and no one knows.
And I read that you'd bought something, it was like a bridal fabric.
Yes. I've had so much fun playing with fabric, finding new fabrics this year. I could spend hours in the Fashion District in LA. Next time you're here, we'll have to go together.
Oh, I would love, I've never seen it. We've got some good fabric shops here. They're disappearing a little bit.
Oh.
But we are lucky in New York. And then there's Michael's.
Yes.
A lot of towns have a good old Michael's. If you can give us some advice for setting a table, because a lot of us, especially in New York, our apartments are so tiny.
Yeah.
We don't really entertain at home that much. You have such a beautiful house, and you've been so gracious about sharing it. And we don't have an extensive array of plates and cups and all the things that you need to make the table look beautiful. Mm-hmm. But you can fake that a little bit. How do you do that?
I think there's just some things that you can swap out to make it look like you're doing really different things. Honestly, even for myself when I host, I almost always reuse a lot of the same plates and glasses. So I would say a few things. I would say get some flatware, serveware, plates, cups, whatever, that are just really timeless. And then I would play in other ways. Sometimes I'll do fruit on my table for a centerpiece. Sometimes I'll do flowers. Sometimes I'll use the fabric as a runner. and I'll place just like vases even without florals, you know? So I think people should just be open to having a little more fun with it. And they would realize like people probably have things in their homes that could easily make a table really beautiful. You know, it doesn't have to be so complicated and so expensive. You can find little things outside or in your space.
I also get the sense from the tables that you do, you're more about family style or like a party than sitting around the table.
Yeah. Even if we're sitting, I like family style. I like a passed plate. I think it's more communal. I always say my favorite conversations always happen around food. I've met the best people. I've learned things about people that have been in my life forever. I've learned things about new people. And I think there is something about just like that shared aspect, passing a plate to the person next to you or reaching across someone and asking for it, that communal kind of vibe that comes from it. I almost never really do like plated dinner parties if I'm having people over. A lot of times I'm having people over that might know me really well, but maybe don't know each other. And I want people to talk and connect and just feel like very warm in my home. So it's my favorite way to host for sure.
That's such a great point because it does force people to interact.
Yes. Yeah.
Who maybe throughout the course of the night, if it was just, you know, everyone was served, you wouldn't necessarily look that person in the eye who's next to you or across from you. Yeah, that's a great reminder.
It's like a natural icebreaker almost, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Tell us, what are some of your favorite foods to serve in December?
Well, I cook a lot of cultural food. My family's from Trinidad and Tobago, and then the other half of my family is from the South. So we do oxtail stew. I love a very warm, comforting, a dish that had to stew for like hours on the stove is my favorite thing. I'm trying to think what else. We eat a lot of rice. We'll do a lot of sweet potato dishes. I know everyone around Thanksgiving, it's so big, but my family will put sweet potato in everything, and so will I. Give it to me as a salad, as a pie, as a hot side, as a main, anything. I'll take it.
How are you adding LA flair to all of that?
I just love a fusion recipe of any kind. I think that's so much of the beauty in LA is like you can find almost any kind of cuisine here and like you can find it done really well. And I really think that's my comfort zone is even when I cook traditional foods, I'm like, how can I spice this up and like make it different? I don't want to follow the exact recipe that's my grandma's. I want to like take my grandma's recipe and do something new to it. And that's very LA to me.
Do you have a favorite farmer's market?
I like to jump around. I do really like the Santa Monica Farmers Market. It's a little overwhelming, but I like it there. There's a lot to see. I love the one in Larchmont. It's a little more quaint and you can get through it. Those are probably my top two.
Overwhelming is a good word. When it's citrus season, oh my gosh.
Yes.
The Santa Monica Farmers Market, I honestly don't even know where to begin, but I love it. I'm so jealous in the winter of everything that you all have out there.
Every time I go there, I feel like there's stuff I've like never seen. I got fresh dates there the other day, which I didn't even know that that's how they just grew. I was like, this is crazy.
I was in LA for Jubilee and I grabbed my mom and we went to the Santa Monica Farmers Market on Saturday morning. Jubilee was on a Sunday. And I went to the date guy and got Barhi dates. Have you ever gotten those?
Yes, yes.
Oh my gosh, they taste like caramel. And then I got regular dates and he had the stems, the pieces of palm that the dates grow on. And I just finished my last dates from him the other day. Oh my
gosh. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. So much to find.
How about cocktails or mocktails? What's your thing for holiday?
Well, my family doesn't drink, so it's always a mocktail at their house. But they do my whole life. Even though they don't drink alcohol, there's always some kind of delicious alcohol-free mixed drink, which I think is just nice. At my house, when I host, I will always have an option of wine, some kind of non-alcoholic, and a cocktail. I make sure every time I have people over, I have all three. I love having, similar to what I said about family style, I like having a little pre-batched self-serve station. I think it's like a nice social moment. I can kind of direct people there when they come in so they're not like bothering me. So I'm like in that crazy frenzy that's the first 20 minutes of hosting or whatever. But yeah, it creates a nice moment for people to mingle and chat. And if they're pouring themselves a drink, maybe they'll pour it for someone else too. So that's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, I was going to ask, are you a calm, cool, collected hostess?
I'm a little bit of both. You know, it depends. I think the good thing is now that I host so much, I mean, I think I have people over almost every week. I have a lot of people in my life that come pretty consistently that are comfortable enough that they're like, what do you need? And I'm like, oh, please grab me ice or whatever. So that has helped. But if you're like calm, you're not really hosting. Like that's not how it works. Like I feel like.
Oh my gosh, I think that's the quote of this episode. If you're calm, you're not really hosting.
Totally.
I always laugh when Martha Stewart and Ina Garten talk about, hosting and all the things you have to do in advance. So you're not, the crazy hostess who opens the door with the wet hair. That would be me. It's good to hear it's not just me. And how do you invite people? I know there's so many options today. Partyful and paperless post. What's your preferred method of inviting folks?
I like a text message or a phone call. I'm really big on calls, especially with my girlfriends. I want to talk to them. I want to chat with them. So I'll call, chat for a few minutes, and I'll be like, by the way, would love to have you over. And then this is so archaic, but if I'm having a bigger party, I will probably send a text or an email and then keep track in a spreadsheet. I don't know what it is about Partiful. I'm not a Partiful girl.
Yeah, every time I get a Partiful one, I struggle a little bit.
Yeah.
And then paperless post gets lost sometimes in my inbox. But yeah, I love a phone call too, but I'm Gen X, Roti. You are not.
Yes.
Your friends must get startled when you call them.
They probably do. They're used to it by now. They're like, oh, this is normal. And I'm an early riser. They're used to very early AM phone calls for me as the norm.
Don't call me early in the morning. I'm not a morning person. How about desserts? What's your whole philosophy on dessert? What are you serving for your final course?
I like a fun dessert. That's my thing. That can be interpreted in a few ways. But my favorite dessert that I served all year was a wine granita that I made. We did it over the summer and I put it in martini glasses and it was so good, but it was also just something so nostalgic about it. I did popsicles at a pool party over the summer. That was so fun, a Aperol Spritz popsicle that everyone loved. I like a little bit more of the unexpected as opposed to a pie or a cake. Or if I do have a cake, I just want my guests to get involved. Maybe there's a berry sauce on the cake. I'm having them pour it on at the last second or something like that.
I love this. I feel like you're the hands-off hostess.
Yeah. I want them to do the work for me.
All these moments of interaction where you're not just a passive guest at Roti Brown's house.
Totally. I think one thing I think about so much is the feedback that my mom would get from having people over. We could not get people out of our house on the weekends. They were just so comfortable. But I think there really is so much beauty in that you can have someone over and make them feel so welcome that they do not want to leave. So that's just my goal. I feel like anytime I have people over, I'm I don't want it to feel this huge formal thing all the time. I want, if you want to get up and get something from the kitchen, please go. Please move to the couch for dessert. Make yourself comfortable, I just want people to feel cozy.
Let's do a little speed round.
Okay.
And then we will let you get out of here. What beverage do you start your day with? Because you're waking up early, you're making phone calls. What is fueling you?
Matcha. I gave up coffee 3 years ago, so I'm a matcha girl now.
How do you do your matcha?
I like a matcha cappuccino. It's very specific, because I don't want too much milk. And then oat milk, no sugar.
Are you doing the matcha strawberry lattes at all?
No.
No.
I don't want any flavor. And it's so funny. I went to a cafe with my boyfriend the other day, and he never gets matcha with me. But I walked in, and she repeated my order, my barista, and he was like, "You're coming here way too much." I was like, yeah, probably.
What is always in your fridge?
Always in my fridge, grapes, frozen cookies. I always talk about this. One of my favorite hosting tips, you should just have some kind of really easy snack or dessert that you can just pop into your oven just in case you have an unexpected guest or whatever. So yeah, I always keep frozen chocolate chip cookies just in case.
I would eat all the cookie dough. I would not be able to do that. One stressful night on deadline writing a story and it would all be gone. What was your favorite food as a kid?
Grits, cheese grits. And then I ate them so much that I could not eat them anymore. But now I love them again.
You became a grit.
Yeah.
That's funny. What are you streaming right now?
Oh my gosh, nothing good. That's really bad to say. But I'm overall new TV. What am I watching? I am watching The Real Housewives. I'm watching Salt Lake City. I'm enjoying it. And then I'm going back and watching The Office for the 800th time.
I had to confess I've really never watched The Housewives aside from, I think, a few episodes when Jenna Lyons was on because we love Jenna.
Of course. It's time to start, though. I think it's time to dive in. It's a good watch.
Dream travel destination?
right now I'm dying to go to Namibia or to Zanzibar.
Do you think that's in the cards for next year?
I think so. Yes, for sure.
Fun. Okay, last question. If you had to be trapped on a desert island with one food celebrity, who would it be?
Oh my gosh, this is so easy. It would have to be Ina Garten because I just feel like I'm obsessed with her. I feel like she would make me feel so comfortable if I got to be treated like her husband. I don't know where she would be finding the chickens to roast for me, but I feel like she would try. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
So wait, you'll be roasting the chickens, not Ina?
No, she has to roast them. I need the treatment, the warm, come home to this, even though we're trapped. I feel like she would make a way to do it for me.
Exactly. I would go find the chickens just to have an Ina Garten roast chicken.
Yes, absolutely.
100%. Well, Roti, I am so happy to have you as a new friend. It was really wonderful getting to know you at our dinner. Please tell your mom the Bombe Squad says hi, and I hope we get to see a lot more of you in 2026.
Yes, this was so lovely. Thank you for having me.
That's it for today's show. Thank you so much to Roti Brown for joining me. Don't forget, tickets for Jubilee 2026 are on sale. Our cake issue just dropped, and we are so proud of it. And we'll be in Charleston this Thursday, December 11th. Visit cherrybomb.com for more or check out our show notes for all the links. Our theme song is by the band Cha La La. Joseph Hazen is a studio engineer for Newsstand Studios at Rockefeller Center. Make sure you come on by and see the tree if you are in town. Our producers are Catherine Baker and Jenna Sadu. Our executive assistant is Bridget Pittman. And our head of partnerships is Rachel Close. Thanks for listening, everybody. You're the bomb.